And countries around the world are reeling as food prices rise and the price of oil skyrockets. A Trent University professor says the two are firmly tied together and the global situation is being made worse by a third factor.
International Development Studies professor Haroon Akram-Lodhi says the food crisis started with last year's failure of the wheat crop in Australia due to drought. This drove up the worldwide price of wheat. The problem is staples like wheat and corn are no longer simply used as basic food. The increasing popularity of biofuels has driven up the price of corn, which has multiple effects on the world economy.
With the increased price for corn and soya as an animal feed, the impact has been to drive up livestock costs as well. Now, the increased cost of livestock has then fed through to increasing problems for the middle class in China and in India, because both countries have seen large economic booms in the course of the past 15 or 20 years. And the result of that has been the creation of maybe 250 million people whose lifestyle has improved dramatically, and they want to eat more meat and they want to eat more processed food.
While many countries are experimenting with biofuels, the world still runs on oil, which has its own effect on the production of food.
The rising oil price is important because fertilizer and pesticides are basically oil products. Oil is used as gasoline to transport food around the world, and all of that feeds into it. And the oil price is going up, driven by the Chinese boom. As we buy more and more Chinese products, they have to get it to us. Also being driven by, of course, the war in Iraq and reduced supplies in the Middle East.
So while rising consumer demands for meat and manufactured goods are having an effect on the world food situation, they pale in comparison to the effect that climate change will have.
In many parts of the world where grain is grown, if the temperature rises more than 3 or 4 degrees, they cease their ability to produce grain at all. An example of that is the Gangetic Plain in India. India is pretty well self-sufficient in wheat, but if the temperature rises 2 degrees, their wheat harvest is wiped out, and that is one of 2 staple foods of most of the Indian population. Now, if India doesn't have access to food, to wheat, then you've got a major problem on your hands.
Steve Guthrie, Checks News Watch, Peterborough.